Hey, so I had a user ask how they can delete duplicate values in a database table. So I made this simple example of how you can do just that. However, this example would be if you're just checking for one single field of duplicate values. But let's go ahead and take a look how we would do this. So I built this simple merchant table here with a name of merchant. You can see there's a number of different duplicates here. It looks like there's in and out a few times, this deli, et cetera, et cetera. So let's go ahead and jump to the API and look at this API endpoint I built, and we'll go ahead and break it down here. So first, what we're doing, and I'll unhide this when we get there, but first what we're doing, we're just going to query all the merchant records. Okay, but we're returning this different than normal. So if we go to the output tab and we look at the return, in here, the return type is aggregate, and we're grouping by that field that we're checking for those duplicate values. In this case, it's the merchant name. And then we're also aggregating on that field with the count. Okay, and we can name that count, and we'll group by the name. So if I save this, you can see the response will just be this name and count list here. So if I were actually to run this, you would see we would get the unique names in our merchant table. And then we also get the count. So how many total there are of those. So you can see, looks like there's one of this, 2, 4, and 3. Okay, so now that we have the name and the count, let's go ahead and unhide this. Okay, so the first thing we're doing, and I'll hide these two. The first thing we're doing is a for each loop through this merchant variable here. Okay, so it just looks like selecting that merchant variable, and it'll be called item throughout this for each loop here. Okay, and once we do that, within this for each loop, we're going to do a for loop. Okay, and the number of loop iterations we're doing is we're selecting that item variable. Remember, that's iterating through the merchant. And then we're using dot notation to get that count. And then we apply a filter to it, a subtract filter. And we're just subtracting by 1. So that if there is a merchant name out there that just has a count of 1, it won't get counted and deleted, which is the next step. Okay, so now within this for each loop here, we are doing a delete record function. Okay, and we're doing it based on the field name, and the field value is just the item variable using dot notation to get to the name field. Okay, so obviously that was a lot, but first we're querying all the merchant records. We're returning as an aggregate, and we're also getting the count. And then we're doing a for each loop through that merchant variable. Within the for each loop, we have a for loop where we're taking the item variable, the count, and then subtracting by 1. And then within the for loop, we're just deleting records on the name field. Okay, so let's go ahead and actually run this. I can simply just delete this response here. And if we go ahead and run this, we'll see that it ran successfully. And let's jump back to the database, and we'll just have unique merchant names now. So look at that, just 4 left and no duplicates.